Hello everyone, this is Turd Flinging Monkey, and today I'd like to return to the political trichotomy. There's a point I made kind of in passing in an earlier video during a live stream where I talked about how this triangle used to basically not be a left versus right, it used to just be society as a whole. With, like in the olden times, you had the merchants or the aristocrats on the individualist kind of point, you had the king on the absolutist point, and you had the religious authority on what is now the communist point, what used to be the religious point. When God was dead, we replaced religion with nihilism and modernity. And the product of this was communism. Why? Think about it. In religion, in the afterlife, what do? You hope for justice. You hope that God is going to give you a just reward for your life. So if you were born unequal, all things are, life isn't fair. We're not born equal, but let's say you're born particularly unequal. You're dealt a pretty shitty hand. If there's religion, then you can say, well, then obviously God is testing me. He gives me these disabilities. He gives me these things which make my life harder because he's testing me. And if I remain faithful, I'm going to go to heaven. I'm going to get this reward. It's going to be great. And that belief in an afterlife allows you to be content with the inequalities of life. It also allows you to look forward to the afterlife where you'll get your just reward. So it doesn't matter if you're never rich and life isn't fair in this life, because in the afterlife, God is going to reward you with all the good things that you were denied in this life. And he's going to punish the evil people who, didn't share their things with you while you lived. And that's when we had religion. So in a very real sense, the motivation for religion is a belief in this supreme equality, supreme justice. But then we basically had nihilism because we killed God. And in the vacuum of religion, we created communism. And really, what is communism? In the absence of religion, communism is the ideology which seeks to create heaven on earth. We call it utopia. That's really not an exaggeration. The ideals of communism are basically identical to the ideals of an afterlife, a just afterlife. Everyone's equal. Everyone gets what they need. Everybody is punished according to what they've done. Essentially, the government replaces God, and this communist utopia is heaven. The only way to accomplish this heaven on earth is to murder billions of people. And that's horrible. But that is the reality. I mean, this is why I've said in the past that life was better when we had religion. The world was a better place. I'm not saying religion's perfect, but if we're simply being objective, the horrors and the wars and the deaths and the executions and all that stuff perpetrated by religion absolutely pales in comparison to that by communism. Now, people pointed out that Islam, over the totality of its history, has killed more people than communism has. But look at the rate. Islam's been around for over 1,000 years. And sure, it's killed a lot more people over the totality of its existence. But communism, in only 100 years, killed 100 billion people in just 1 century. That is horrifying. If allowed to continue, it would have caused human extinction. Without this belief in a just God doling out punishments and rewards, all you're left with is the inequality, the fundamental inequality of life and nature. And so, in order to rectify this inequality, we have communism, the anti-religion, the a-religion, in order to supplant the previous belief in an afterlife with a heaven on earth now, paved with blood and theft and murder. The second point I want to make in this video is the nature of the religious right. Before we talk about the nature of the religious right, we have to talk about where the left-right dichotomy comes from. Leftist ideology is pretty easy to identify. It's this belief in, everybody's equal, everybody's the same, everything's interchangeable, this postmodern, egalitarian, everything is the same kind of thing. That's leftism. Now, what defines the right? It's literally everything which isn't the left. The left has this unified ideology, the right is everything that opposes them. Every splinter group, every subculture that opposes this postmodern, everything is the same kind of thing, that's the right. Now, why is the religious right considered the right? Because they oppose this communist ideology, but not because they're fundamentally opposed to it. They used to have the same ideology. Religion used to be the point of the triangle that communism now sits in. They were supplanted by communism, and so they oppose communism. But they have nothing at all in common with the absolutist right, and nothing at all in common with the individualist right. Their only opposition to communism is the same kind of opposition you find between Catholics and Protestants, or Christians and Muslims, or Jews and Muslims, or whatever kind of religion. This is a religious thing. But fundamentally, they're not opposed to each other on principle. They're opposed to each other because of their identity as different Christian sects or different religious sects. So the religious right fundamentally is a product of leftism. If you oppose leftism on principle, then you also oppose the religious right on the same principles. The religious right is actually leftist in its beliefs because religion teaches we're all equal. Where do you think all these cucks come from? Why do you think all these white knight cucks are on the right, sabotaging everything that's anybody trying to oppose the left on principle gets stabbed in the back by the religious right? Now you know why. The religious right is a product of the left. They are the left. They used to be the left before modernity supplanted religion with communism. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. And for those of you who are like, oh my God, TFM's shitting on religion again. I just said earlier that the world was a better place when we had religion. I want to see religion replace communism. I understand that this point of the triangle has to exist. People have to believe in equality. There are people who are just born shitty. They were dealt a shitty genetic hand, and they need some kind of hope to hold on to. They're not just going to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and just soldier on. They need to believe that some kind of cosmic justice is going to be dealt. And I'd much rather them believe in a religion and an afterlife than murder billions of people in trying to establish a heaven on earth right now. So I support the reestablishment of religion. So don't get things twisted and think that I'm your enemy. I want to help you. However, on principles, me and you have nothing at all in common. And again, look at what the religious right did in the 90s when the right took the Congress, like the fucking Newt Gingrich shit when Clinton was president. Remember all the censoring they did? Censor this, ban this, protect the children, protect the families. The right was all about censoring and punishing people and calling people this, calling people that. You still see this in the absolutist right. The point is, though, is the religious right, if you basically just took all the labels away, they would be indistinguishable from the modern left. You have the religious right wanting to ban shit, wanting to control people's speech, wanting to censor people for the good of society, and you have the same shit happening on the left today. On the right, you have the big Satan panic, when it comes to D&D or heavy metal or video games or comic books. And on the left, you have the bash the fash, everybody's a Nazi, everybody's a Russian bot. It's the same thing. And this is why it's really a pain in the ass, as someone who understands that the left is a major threat to freedom and needs to be opposed, because all the different factions that make up the supposed right have nothing at all to do with each other. They don't like each other, they view each other as part of the left, so there's zero unity, and it would be hilarious if it wasn't so tragic, and if I wasn't having my freedom threatened because of this bullshit. So anyway, it's been suggested that the religious right doesn't fit on this triangle, because the religious right isn't individualist, neither is it absolutist. And it does fit on the triangle, but you have to understand that the religious right is the communist point of the triangle. This triangle wasn't always slanted on the side, with the individualist and the absolutist on the right. This slant is a product of our modern political dichotomy. And the religious right is basically the excommunicated religion, the former religion of the West, Christianity, which has been supplanted by communism and progressivism, and basically in its exile has been cast into the right. But it has nothing at all to do with the right, nor is it really right-wing. It's really just the communist point of the triangle, but it's a different competing ideology. It's not even essentially right-wing, it's only right in the sense that it opposes the communist left. Anyway, that's it. Hope you found this video entertaining. This is Turd Flinging Monkey. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.